Let's get into just the facts of this, Larry. Just the facts. 10,607 days and counting since the 49ers have won a Super Bowl. That could have been reset to 0 with a win last night, but that did not happen. Kansas City became the 9th team ever to repeat as Super Bowl champions. They are absolutely spectacular. And although this show is going to be filled with an awful lot of blaming the 49ers, one thing that needs to be at the forefront is the Kansas City Chiefs have put together one of the finest decades we have ever seen any football team assemble, and they have a quarterback who 6 years into his career is already in the single greatest quarterback of all time conversation. We have a head coach in Andy Reid who is entering a conversation of head coaching acumen that is going to have him maybe, top 5, top 3 in NFL history. That's what Andy Reid is becoming. Travis Kelce gets to go home with a woman who's literally, I don't know if any American-born woman had a better year than Taylor Swift ever in the history of the United States. She is the biggest single success in her gender globally in terms of entertainment and income, and her boyfriend wins the fucking Super Bowl. I mean, what do you want, man? Nobody had a better year than Taylor Swift, other than the Kansas City Chiefs, who now get to party with Taylor. I mean, it's unbelievable what the 49ers ran into here and how good the Kansas City Chiefs truly are. It was the second of 58 Super Bowls to be tied after regulation and the first to be played under the new overtime rules. And Kyle didn't even know that or didn't talk to his players about it. And for a guy who is as meticulous, I mean, here's the one thing that I know you and I will both agree on. Kyle is a meticulous planner. How this escaped him and his planning, that's what I want to know. I hope you ask him that question in his next media availability. How could you possibly not give your team the most important piece of information that they could possibly have should you be going to overtime in the Super Bowl?
Well, it's not even that. How did you not know it? Because there's no defending that you did know it. You didn't know it. Forget about your team. You didn't know the rules to overtime in the Super Bowl. You didn't know the rules.
And it's literally being explained, by the way, by Bill Vinovich on these things. Like, all you had to do was read the fucking scoreboard. What is he doing? Other than and like he's about to poop his pants into his play sheet under his flat-brimmed hat. I mean, Kyle is a real thing.
You don't have anybody on your headsets who's got the peace of mind to say, hey, guys, I know this is different. This is what we normally do, but this is a difference here. The team that gets the ball first is at a disadvantage in the current rules. The team that gets the ball second has the advantage of knowing what they need. If the Chiefs go first and they kick a field goal, all you need is a field goal. If the Chiefs go first and they score a touchdown, you need a touchdown. There's an advantage to going second over going first. And I mean, that's really, really clear. And I'm shocked that there's not a single person on the 49er headsets that could say that out loud to the head coach.
It's unbelievable. Juwan Jennings threw a touchdown pass. He caught a touchdown pass. Only Nick Foles has ever done that in a Super Bowl. The 49ers have now blown 2 10-point leads in the Super Bowl under Kyle Shanahan, and the Chiefs championship parade is Valentine's Day on Wednesday. And I don't tell you that to twist the knife. I tell you that to remember, fellas, it's Valentine's Day on Wednesday. Get your shit together. You don't want to be caught without the knowledge of that, like Kyle Shanahan was of the overtime rules in the Super Bowl. The massive special team miscue.
Is there a conference call? Is there a Valentine's Day conference call that maybe somebody could, hey, Krug, just so, I know your mind's spinning, but hey, get a card, get some chocolates. Get a balloon, maybe some a gift of some kind, something meaningful. Don't fuck it up.
Don't get caught not knowing whether or not you should You should take the bouquet or give the bouquet on Valentine's Day. You're going to want to know that. If I'm the 49ers, I'm cutting Ray McCloud today. Get the fuck out of here, Ray.
It wasn't, it hit Luter, right?
I do. But then he watched that. Ray McCloud has one job. Be a good special teams returner. And he's not even good at that job. And then he has one other job, is to know that you fall on that. You don't try to pick it up and make a play. That's all he has been coached at since Pop Warner. You fall on that. Don't pick it up and make a play. What was he thinking? Luter, again, I want to blame the rookie. Ray's got to tell him whatever the code word, Charlie, red, which means you just start running to the sideline. You just get out of the way. Ray McCloud had as much to do with losing this Super Bowl as anybody. He really did. You cannot be bad at your job and bad at your job. Ray McCloud's biggest play of the entire year was a downfield block like 60 yards down the field for Christian McCaffrey all the way back in week 3. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
I know. So it's another rough one, he has not been reliable. Brian Schneider was brought in to coordinate the special teams. They draft a rookie kicker. The rookie kicker misses a PAT. They wind up going to overtime because of the missed PAT. It's just.
Does this team?
It's just. There's so many things. People are calling me a hypocrite because I said last night that I would have taken the ball in overtime. I didn't know the rules. I'll freely admit that. I didn't realize that they had changed the overtime rules, but of course I'm not a coach.
Right. We're on YouTube. There's a big difference.
We're on YouTube and we're watching it.
I am sitting here. I'm broadcasting at the 2-minute warning. I went live at the 2, so I'm watching all this. The volume's not on. And I'm like, all right, well, they won the coin toss. You got a 7, you go down here, you score, you win. And all of a sudden people are like, no, that's not how it works anymore. And I'm like, oh, that's right. That's right. They did change these rules here, but we've never seen it actually come into play. It was rough, man.
It just kind of goes to show that Shanahan he's got a little bit of Gabe Kapler to him. He likes the defined, let's decide things when there's no pressure and just stick with it. Let's find where our easily to defend, thoughts are, and let's go with it. And let's not react in real time. Let's, go with some predetermined thing that we've decided ahead of time. And that's where he is on the coin flip. He doesn't want to think about, is my offense better than their defense? He just wants to be like, you know what? This is the way we want to do it. And then obviously that kind of same mindset is one that he carried into this overtime. Like, you know what? We want the ball. Why? Because we're going to go score a touchdown and win the game. Okay, but that's not the way these rules work. So then you got to then think about what is the rule and what is the advantage. And they gave up their advantage. They won the coin toss and could have had the advantage, but gave it up willingly because they didn't know the rule. That's not good.
It definitely is not good. Professional opinion, layman's opinion, I think we can all agree that wasn't good. You fire Brian Schneider?
He's a really highly qualified special teams coach.
Well, his special teams suck.
Yeah, well, and they devoted a 3rd-round pick to the kicker, a 4th-round pick to nobody's devoting more of their dollars and draft capital to the special teams in the Niners. So, they
can't even figure out who's supposed to return the ball. The 49ers haven't had an exciting, game-breaking, field-flipping, changing return since Kyle's been the coach.
Somebody here is saying that they took the ball because the defense was tired. Well, I know. That's the argument, but I don't know if that was actually the case. When your defensive players say that they don't know the rules, does that mean the coach doesn't know the rules? I don't know. Or did the coach just not share the rules with them? either way, they were unaware. But
Yeah.
I mean, that is the argument. That's the argument they're going to spit out today, which is our defense was gassed, and that's why we didn't take the ball.
And look, it was a great, we talked about the play that he would draw up on a napkin drunk in Cancun. Like, if I ever get into the Super Bowl, I'm going to run this son of a bitch. And he did it. He did it. And it was the only score. The only touchdown of that first half was a gimmick play. I mean, that's on Kyle too. Getting,
which was a great play call. It worked.
It did. Oh my God, it was a heart attack on a plate though. When Juwan Jennings threw that just butterfly back, I thought that before it landed in McCaffrey's hands, I thought that could be a pick six going the other way if somebody's on McCaffrey right there. So, even the touchdown that was scored came with a level of razzle dazzle on it that wasn't just straight up football. And Steve Spagnuolo should have a bigger championship ring than anybody else in Kansas City. Like he should, however many diamonds is in anybody's ring, he should get one more diamond in his ring. He was spectacular as a defensive coordinator. And what this guy does throughout his entire career is take great offenses and reduce them to, you ain't so good at this in the biggest games of the year. It's what he does. And he did it last night. And running into Patrick Mahomes is a tough proposition. Kyle has now never beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. His 4 losses against Kansas City Chiefs, regular and postseason included, are his most against any one opponent. And Patrick Mahomes is, I mean, if he walked on water today, I wouldn't be surprised. He's just incredible. It's the greatest start that any player has ever had in the NFL to a career. His career begins with 6 straight AFC title game appearances, 3 Super Bowl wins. He's only 28 years old, and he's already the 4th quarterback to ever win 3 Super Bowls. Brady, Montana, Bradshaw, Troy Aikman, and now Mahomes.
He's a great competitor. He's got a great offensive coordinator. Some terrific weapons, but he's a great competitor.
Oh, I mean, it's more than just competitor. He is state of the art. There's not another Patrick Mahomes rolling off the assembly line.
I mean, there are guys that run better. There are guys that throw better. There are guys that do everything that he does better. But he is the ultimate winner, and he will not be denied. And, you saw what kind of a maniacal competitor he is when they lost to Buffalo earlier this year, and he came unglued. He needs to win. There's rather win. I want to win, but he needs to win. He's got that crazy competitive gene. And
he's the first guy at the podium talking about a three-peat.
Yeah. No,
I mean, it's, hey, you just won your back. You're officially a dynasty right now. You got to go back to back in one of your, collections of Super Bowl excellence. You got to at least have one back to back to be a dynasty. And they're just, if they win 3 in a row, Patrick Mahomes is, sorry, Joe Montana. Sorry, everybody else. He's the greatest quarterback of all time. Sorry, Tom Brady. Sorry, it's Mahomes.
If they win 3 in a row.
If they win 3 in a row.
I mean, the guy's got unbelievable competitive fire. He's hard to tackle. He rumbles for big yardage and big moments. He knows exactly when to run. And he's been surrounded by a phenomenal organization and a great play caller who's surrounded him with good weapons. The only Super Bowl he lost, they couldn't block. In this game, they clearly just held, but they got the calls. And Spags held CMC to 3.6 yards per carry, his lowest yards per carry in any game, where he's had Trent Williams blocking for him. So Spags is a genius. You got to give him his flowers, and Reed's a phenomenal coach, and credit Kansas City. But this one is if you sat here today and say, did the Chiefs win this game or did the Niners lose it? I would say it's right down the middle. I mean, you could argue it either way. You really could. I think that you could make a very compelling argument that the Niners lost this game.
I think so. I think that that's fair. How about this? In the blame game, there's a ton of blame to go around on the 49ers side. I mean, there really is. It wasn't on just one guy. It's on the entire team that just, instead of coming out firing, kind of came out misfiring. And that takes it right back to the head coach, who then also, the day after, we find out doesn't know the rules. That's
and there were other issues beyond that. I mean, Dre Greenlaw could have been healthy if you had just used your younger linebackers throughout the year a little bit. But no. Can't use Jalen Graham at all. Can't use D. Winters at fucking all. You didn't use these guys that you had sitting right there. You could have used them against Washington. You could have used them against Arizona, Seattle. You could have introduced them to some game action and preserved Dre Greenlaw. Instead, you didn't. You let Greenlaw and Warner, who are your linebackers, who basically the Niners' run D sucked all year. They just had Greenlaw and Warner. I mean, think about it that way. You have two of the best second-level run-stop artists in the game, and yet your run defense wasn't any good. And the reason it wasn't any good is because you leaned on those two guys exclusively. They made the percentage of tackles that those guys made in the run game is so much bigger than the percentage of tackles that other linebacker duos around the league made. They didn't have Ebukam. They didn't have a Menahue. They didn't have Mosley. They didn't have Aziz. They didn't have Jimmy Ward. All those guys were good against the run. They didn't have any of those guys all year. They got gashed in the preseason. The only time they stopped the run was when their offense got big leads and teams just stopped running because of the game situation. They never really actually stopped the run. So they did a decent job in this game of trying to stop the run. But, I mean, ultimately, you didn't have a healthy Greenlaw. He went out. He basically, he knew that he had an Achilles that was on the verge of going out, and it just went out on him as he jogged onto the field. So, he was diminished by the reps and the snaps that he played this year. You had the depth to ease off on him. Did you know? You had the backs to give McCaffrey more of a rest, so he could have gotten to the playoffs with a little bit more rested, healthy situation. Did you know? So, I mean, I think they made some mistakes throughout the year that cost them at the end.
Well, and look, maybe it's time that Juwan Jennings, instead of being your second wide receiver or your third wide receiver, is your second. When are we going to admit that Debo's a little bit more of a gimmick than he is a great NFL player?
Well, I don't think he was healthy either, to be completely honest. And
well, he's never going to be, though. Like, that's the thing. You know what you get. Debo is damaged goods. And look, if you're talking about what are hard choices in front of you, might be the time to move on from Debo and George Kittle. Their bodies are going to fail them, and they're not winning with them a Super Bowl anyways. And these guys are vanishing in the last Super Bowl that the 49ers played in. There's going to be hard choices this offseason. Like Debo, Kittle, Eric Armstead, one of those names is gone. Like,
well, I mean,
sure.
Kansas City's number one receiver is Rashee Rice. They targeted him 8 times. He caught 6 balls. The Niners' number one receiver caught 3 balls for 49 yards. Brandon Ayuk. 3 balls all day in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, you obviously didn't get the ball to your number one receiver nearly enough. I mean, they made more connections and got better performance out of Justin Watson than the Niners got out of Brandon Ayuk. If I told you before the game, oh, by the way, Brandon Ayuk is going to get outperformance today by Justin Watson, are the Niners going to win? You'd be like, hell no.
No, they're not. No, they will not be winning that game that way. So again, what's the path forward, Larry? How does Kyle walk in front of his team and say, this time we mean it? Like now we're going to circle the wagons. Now we're going to go win a Super Bowl. This is going to be good for us in the future. I saw some fans saying, yeah, this would be good for the 49ers in the future. How? You know what would have been good for the 49ers in the future? Winning this Super Bowl and then being able to take that going forward. now we know what we need to do.
I mean, the Niners have, I think, I mean, there are people that don't believe this, that believe that Mahomes is on a different level and the Niners need to go after a higher level quarterback. I think they have their guy. His name's Brock Purdy. Now build the team around him. Build him a fortress up front. Invest 3 picks in the current draft on offensive linemen. Invest 2 or 3 picks in your defensive line. You know, continue your formula. You're doing free agency for the most part pretty well. So well that teams around the league are complaining about how many compensatory selections you're coming away with. So keep doing it. Keep going after the top free agent if you can, and try to get the best players on your team, and try to replenish in the draft and keep your roster young and surround. I mean, Shanahan's a relatively young man. Purdy's a relatively young man. I would imagine Andy Reid is only going to coach for another year, maybe 2. Maybe this is it. Maybe he'll retire. But
no way he's walking. Look, he
might. I mean, how old is Andy Reid? He's heavy. He's old. I mean, he doesn't look like he's going to be around forever.
Andy Reid couldn't give a flying fuck about his own family, and his dipshit, often arrested children are proof of that. All he loves is football, and he's got the greatest quarterback on the planet. He ain't going anywhere. Nowhere.
Well, you know what? He looks like he's in terrible shape, so maybe he is going somewhere.
Well, get him a little Nutrisystem. I don't know, but the guy
How old is Andy Reid.
Old enough to, I think, have at least 4 more years with Patrick Mahomes as a head coach. I mean, who walks away from him?
He's 65.
All right, a lot of coaches coaching, longer than 65. This loss is 50-50 Purdy Kyle. I would say 50 for sure on Kyle. Brock Purdy made no mistakes last night. None.
It's not 50-50 on Purdy.
Not at all.
That's for sure.
Not at all.
I mean, you might want to say it's 50-50. Yeah, I mean, it might be 50-50 on Kyle versus the rest of the coaching staff. But come on. It's not, I mean, Purdy played pretty well in this game. I mean, he led them to 3 scoring drives late. So it's not like they just, they absolutely dominated Purdy. He found a way to drive the team, but they couldn't score in the red zone.
Brock Purdy, again, when you were talking to your UPS driver, Purdy completed his first 5 throws of the game. He was 8 of 10 for 105 yards in the first quarter, but in the remainder of the game, he only threw for another 100 yards. He was under pressure and duress for a lot of that. Josh Dubois had this one. Since the start of the second quarter, through the start of the second quarter, through 2:23 remaining in the third quarter, Juwan Jennings had outpassed Brock Purdy. Juwan Jennings' touchdown pass went 21 yards. Purdy threw for 17 yards between the second and nearly the end of the third quarter. And again, you're getting no opportunities to put up passing numbers when you get pressured on first down, miss on second down, get stopped on third down, and you punt. The 3 drives of the second half, the first 3 drives of the second half, are where the 49ers lost this game, to the point where the Niners were still winning on the scoreboard. But I even went upstairs and told my wife and my in-laws, who were upstairs watching the game, I went upstairs at that moment. I said the 49ers are going to lose this game. They just handed every ounce of momentum that they might have had right back to the Kansas City Chiefs. And all Patrick Mahomes needs is this. And they gave it to him over and over and over again. And they didn't take advantage of anything that Patrick Mahomes gave them.
They also benched Ambry Thomas, by the way. He only played 1 defensive snap. In 5 of the Niners' 6 losses this season, he played less than 5 snaps on defense.
What happened there?
Obviously, they wanted to go.
Why are you changing horses in the biggest race of the year?
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know that. Are you 1 snap for Ambry Thomas?
1 snap.
All right. Well, I guess it definitely is time to fire Steve Wilks then, right? I mean, isn't that where Steve Wilks is supposed to be the best? I'm your secondary coach here. How is he not? How does he not have one of his best players up to speed and ready to go for the Super Bowl? Why do you have a guy who literally getting inserted into the lineup after the bye week in Jacksonville helped improve your defense, and then he has what, a couple of bad postseason games, and you just give up on him?
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Wow. That's an indictment right there.